Hi, welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show, powered by BetUS. It's your boy, Jonathan Macri. Just cracked myself open a nice celebratory beverage to celebrate what was a very nice Knicks win, a workman-like Knicks win, and I think a Knicks win that we should give a fair amount of respect to. I saw a couple comments that I was maybe a little bit too hard on them after the fall from ahead, come from behind, briefly behind, win a couple of nights ago against this same Brooklyn Net team. And like, if you win, like, you deserve to get praised, and I was probably a little hard on them. So I'm going to try to rectify that tonight, because it's not easy to beat any team in the league 2 games in a row. And when there is this little bit of a rivalry, and I think it's a rivalry at this point. It's definitely been a lopsided rivalry, first in favor of the Nets and now in favor of the Knicks. But it's a rivalry. Like, these two teams, I think, probably get up a little bit extra, and now you add the Bridges stuff to it. So to beat the same team twice in a row, one of which you didn't have, well, aside from all the guys the Knicks have already been missing, some really key pieces. And tonight you still don't have Deuce. So, and for the first time all season, I think, unless I'm forgetting a game, Jalen Brunson was just like really, not that he wasn't a factor on offense. He was very much a factor on offense. And we'll talk about some of the nice things he did. Ended up with 10 assists. And I know he finished 3 of 14 from the field. I don't really feel like he forced a whole lot, but the Nets made it a point to take Jalen Brunson away. And I think there's a lot of things to talk about with this game, a lot of directions that we could go. But I think the first place you kind of have to go is that, I mean, imagine the odds you could have got on this. What odds could you have gotten on a game in which 4 Knicks starters scored at least 20 points, and one of those starters was not Jalen Brunson? Because that's what happens. You had Hart with 20, you had Towns with 26, you had OG Anunoby with 24, and you had Mikal Bridges with 21. And all of those guys, to different extents, I think had solid nights. Solid to better than solid nights. I think OG is the one who came closest to an exceptional game because he had an exceptional first half, tailed off a little bit after halftime. Give Cam Thomas credit. That guy's really good. He got OG a couple of times, but by and large, they held Cam Thomas in check tonight, in large part because they put OG Anunoby on Cam from the opening tip, essentially. So that was good. And yeah, all those guys did their job. I think as we could keep zooming in on this game for a little bit. Talk about the bench. I think a lot of people, after the effort that he gave on Friday, certainly expected to see Ariel Hukporti get some minutes tonight. Was not the case, and you knew it wasn't going to be the case if you listened or read the quotes from Tom Thibodeau's pregame presser, because as soon as I think it was Alan Hahn asked him about, hey, did Ariel Hukporti do enough to get minutes? Tibbs answered with, "Oh, Jericho Sims has been playing really good defense for us." So you knew that was the case. And like, look, I'm happy for Sims. I'm happy for Sims because I think he has been thrust into this role here where he's expected to give them quality rotation minutes. It's been up and down, and I'm happy for him tonight because I think tonight it was pretty good. You could even argue that he had one of the signature moments of the game. We'll get to the autograph signature moment a little bit later, but definitely one of the contenders is when he switched onto Dennis Schroeder late and held his own and ended up getting a block. And he had a bunch of other nice moments as well. So, good stuff from Jericho Sims. I know he's not the guy that a lot of people wanted to see out there. That's fine. I don't begrudge a single person who thinks that they should have already made the shift to Hukporti, but Sims is reminding you that he is, certainly not an incompetent NBA player, and he's still a young player, So good stuff from him off the bench. Campaign, again, I thought Campaign comes in especially in the first half when it felt like this team needed a jolt. And I don't think it's an accident that the 20-4 run that really turned the game around. And the Nets made some pushes in the second half, obviously, got it down to 8 in the fourth quarter. People were a little nervous. But really, after that 20-4 Knicks run, the Nets never really seriously threatened it again. I know they got it within 1 point after the first play of the third quarter, but it felt like the Knicks were in control. It felt like more than anything, it felt like the tenor of the game changed in that first half run, and I give a lot of credit to that campaign because he comes in, he brings the just supreme effort every time. And then a guy that I would expect that we're going to get some super chats about tonight is Pacome Dadier. Now, I know Pacome fell off a little bit in the second half, but what he showed you, especially on defense tonight, and there's a clip going around, the one that is going to get the most attention, which is his outstanding one-on-one defense. There were a couple other plays as well. James Edwards III pinpointed a really good closeout, or I didn't know. Sorry, it wasn't James Edwards. It was Fred Katz. I'm mistaking the guy who took Fred Katz's job for the actual Fred Katz. It was Fred Katz who pointed out on Twitter or Blue Sky, one of them. We're all over the place right now. That Dadier had a really nice closeout, and then the observation I had after the really nice one-on-one defensive play was I thought Dadier was really good on a rotation under the rim. He ended up fouling whichever the net was, but not in the shooting motion. And I thought he was there in good time. Like he looks like he could potentially step in and become a rotation player for this team. And at the very least, it seems like he has surpassed Matt Ryan. Now, I mentioned 3 guys off the bench, and that's because only 3 players played off the bench tonight. We did not see Tyler Kolek. We did not see Matt Ryan. And you had 3 Knicks starters top 40 minutes. OG with a not really. I mean, for him, like you don't want to see him above 40, but 40 is obviously pushing the limit. Like you shouldn't need to play at OG Anunoby on the first night of a back-to-back 40 minutes. You would hope that would not be the case. And yet you see his impact out there on. I mean, I feel like he needs to be the lead story of the game because it's not just his impact on defense anymore. He is making such a genuinely significant impact on the offense, and not just I'm going to hit my open threes and I'm going to attack the occasional closeout. He's doing everything short of like, just give me the ball and get out of my way. And honestly, there are a couple times where when he gets the right switch, it is kind of give me the ball and get out of my way. So, is he creating advantages? No, he's not. We can't yet say that OG Anunoby is an advantage creator, but boy, oh boy, is he taking advantage of every advantage that is created for him for this team. And like, again, we're through 13 games now. Team's over 500, so good job by them. He's been their best player. And yeah, getting back to the minutes thing, he played 40 minutes, so not ideal, but nothing compared to our friends Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart. Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges played the entire second half, finished with 45 and 46 minutes respectively. Now, you look at those minutes with a bit of a grain of salt because Josh Hart, I mean, we know what Josh Hart is an anomaly. And he could play 48 minutes a night if he had to. That's why he gets paid $20 million a year. That's his superpower. And Bridges is a guy who's, he's led the league in minutes before, and he's leading the league in minutes right now. So I'm not, too worried about him. And still, it's like you just look at the totals, 45 and 46 minutes in a game in November, the first night of a back-to-back. Now, that back-to-back is going to come against the Washington Wizards, which you hope these guys can maybe get a little bit of a rest before, and come away with a win, although there's no easy wins in the NBA anymore, before they head out on the West Coast road trip. We'll see what happens tomorrow night. Not going to get ahead of ourselves. So the minutes, I wanted to make that point early on because anyone wants to be concerned about the minutes, I'll hear you. Totally. It's 3 guys, 40 minutes, November, first night of a back-to-back. It's not what you want. Talked about Anunoby. Awesome stuff from him. Such a pivotal part to this team. And then I'd like to. I'll give Fred Katz another shout out. Sent out a tweet tonight, which or maybe again a Sky sent out a social media missive tonight in which he said, amidst everything that has been going on with the Knicks so far this year, something that has kind of gotten lost is how seamless Towns' transition has been on the offensive end of the floor. And you watch him out there and you see him, and granted, are the Nets maybe a pretty good matchup because they have a bunch of small guys? Sure. But that's also like a ripe invitation to like get out of your normal game and to start forcing stuff and to start doing stuff you wouldn't usually do. Not Towns, not tonight. Towns like took exactly what the defense gave him, and you could argue he made the right play like every time he touched the ball. Opportunity for him to go into the post and go mouse in the house and score that way. I'll take it. If you're going to give me the three, Knicks weren't really hitting their threes tonight. I want to get back to that point in a bit. Towns only was 1 for 3 from there, but you give me that shot, I'll take it. And most of all, if you pay a lot of attention to me and you're going to let my teammates run around, unfettered, I can make, like, he is looking like really the second best passing center in the league. Maybe actually no, that Domantas Sabonis has to get that. Let's call it the third. Let's call it the third best passing center in the league, but that's still pretty damn good. Finished tonight with 6 assists. He was one of 4 Knicks to finish with 6 assists. And that is really good to see. I want to get back to that point as well. But just really good stuff from Karl-Anthony Towns. He's awesome. Defensively, what we saw tonight, I think, was probably the biggest collective team story of the game was how much hedging the Knicks did. They've been dabbling more and more. This was by far the most hard hedging that we have seen them do in any game this season. I would say that it was effective at times. At other times, there were some breakdowns. Now, I wanted, again, give credit to the Nets. Nets are a feisty team, and they had guys come in the first half especially, making threes that you wouldn't normally expect those guys to make, your Wilsons and your Clownies and your whoever's of the world. But, like, you look at the Nets stat sheet, like they took 41 threes, they made 41.5% of them. Now, they also missed a couple of guys, missed decent looks, but, so the guys that the Knicks were helping off of definitely made them pay in the first half. I still think, even if you don't expect those guys to maybe make all those shots, I still think that form of defense could get a little bit better, and we know that because it got more effective at other parts of the game. I thought when Jericho Sims was in those situations with the hard hedges, I thought he was very effective for sure. So it's nice to see them progressing and trying out different things, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. It's all part of the process of learning how to be the most effective version of this basketball team. But by and large, I think I kind of liked what I saw defensively tonight. This Nets team came in top 10 offense, and they hit 41% of the threes tonight, and you held them to 104 points. That, to me, putting everything else aside, I'm gonna feel good about those numbers. Some other numbers I'm gonna feel good about, and we'll do these, and then we'll do the autograph signature moment, and then we'll get to the super chats. I gotta pull up a few stats here because the Knicks tonight had. I mentioned they had 4 players with at least 6 assists, and those were Towns, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson. Talked about he was really played within himself. Again, shout out to Jalen Brunson and Cam Payne. How about Cam Payne 6 assists in 17 minutes? That is for this season, the 2024-25 season. That is the 1-2. I know Breen said this on the broadcast, but I want to make sure I got it right. That is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th time in 13 games the Knicks have assisted at least or dished at least 30 assists. And then again, Breen said this on the broadcast. Last season, in 82 games, only 10 such games. Significant sign of progress where the offense isn't just relying on the individual talents of their players. They are coming together as a unit, and they're all contributing to that. OG is contributing in a big way. Towns, without questions, contributing in a big way. And Jalen Brunson, again, I know the shot wasn't going down tonight, but really, really, really playing great team ball. And they, if his shot was going down tonight, it would have been another game where they scored 125, which they seem to score every night. The other one that I want to give them credit for, I mentioned, only hit 32.5% from three this season. Or, sorry, tonight. This season, this is now the third time that the Knicks have hit 32% or worse from three in a game, and they have won won. They've done it 5 total times, and they've won 3 of those games. Last season, Knicks failed to hit 32% from deep 20 times, and they had 4 wins out of those 20. So this season, 3 out of 5. Last season, 4 out of 20. Point is, this team last year was incredibly dependent on its three-point shooting. For as much as everybody wanted to talk about, it was gritty and the defense, and they never gave in and they never gave up. Look, if this team wasn't hitting threes last year, they really couldn't score. And that's why they lost all of those games. Granted, they were injured, but still, the point remains. This year, they, again, if they were hitting the three, there were so many good looks from three tonight that they just missed. And it's not like they're a bad three-point shooting team, because you look at the season-long numbers, they've been largely excellent from three. So it's just great to see them be able to win a game in which, and again, I think I grouped those two stats together, the assist stat and the three-point stat, because I think it really does show the evolution of this offense. Right now, the Knicks are 8th in three-point percentage. So it's fallen from where it was, but that's actually encouraging to me that it's fallen, because they weren't going to hit whatever they were hitting through, 7 or 8 games, 41, 42% from three the whole year. I think they're where they are now, 37.5% from deep, 37.8%. I think that's sustainable. I think that's very sustainable. So all that's good stuff. And I've been bouncing it around in my head which way I want to go for the autograph signature moment of the game. I think I could go a couple of different directions. I'm going to go with, there was this, okay. Yeah, I got to go with respect and admiration for the sequence where you had Karl-Anthony Towns and OG teaming up for some great transition D after Brunson hit Hart on a great pass. Hart just couldn't finish, got blocked at the rim. So you had Towns, OG, transition defense. Then JB hit Hart again. This time he did finish, but fell on the floor. And then you had Towns with more great transition D on the other end. That came midway through the third quarter. That's my runner-up. I got to give the autograph signature moment of the game to the passing flurry that Karl-Anthony Towns had at the beginning of the third quarter, where he hit OG, then he hit OG again, and this time OG was blocked, and then he hit Jalen Brunson, which was also blocked. So my signature moment of the game is 2 out of the 3 shots were blocked, but it was really, to me, emblematic of how much Karl-Anthony Towns can dominate this offense as a passer, and how maybe the thing that will be one of the defining stories of this season, and indeed this era of Knicks basketball, is how they transition from an offense that was so Jalen Brunson centric to one where everybody has, a hand in bringing it to its ceiling. And that doesn't mean Jalen Brunson is going to be relegated to a guy who starts scoring 15 points a game. Obviously, that's not the case. But you're starting to see the signs of an offense that really, it just really could be unguardable, especially when they're hitting their threes. And tonight, they weren't even hitting their threes, and they were still kind of unguardable.